This video is all about having a fun little hike and avoiding avalanches. I hope you'll join us. Well, winter has had us in her death grip for the last few days. It's been snowy, blowing, and cold. And as a result, I'm out today hiking by myself. But I finally took an official avalanche course this week, which has been well overdue. So we're practicing companion rescue and avalanche searches right now. We'll follow the directions on the transceiver. Probing.
I think the size of the debris in the back valley here, that to me probably slid size 3 during the storm cycle.
And so the goal for today is just to get out and apply some of those concepts of avalanche safety without actually exposing myself to any avalanche danger. So I've picked a pretty mellow ridge, no overhead hazard, and at this elevation, pretty much no snow. But there should be more up top for me to look at. And then I'm hoping that these clouds will continue to blow off and clear, and that we'll have some good visibility of the surrounding alpine ridges. So yeah, that's the goal for today. It's a beautiful day. I'm glad to be out. Well, strike everything that I've said about winter and the death grip. It's starting to feel like a beautiful spring day out here. I certainly am feeling the winter fluff right now though. Feeling weak and slow. But there's only one way to improve that, and that's to come out and do it. Not sure if you can see the crystals in the air. It's really pretty. So I mean, it's not like particularly warm yet, but it's a nice temperature for hiking. That's today's objective. Well, the other toy I brought with me today is my spotting scope and new digiscoping adapter. And I see some critters on a distant slope, and I think it's a bunch of elk. So I'm going to try to get the spotting scope on and get some footage. Before I get this set up. They indeed are elk. What's my zoom set at? Let's bring this zoom down. Huh, that's pretty cool. So I think I'm looking at a bull that's shed its antlers ready. Oh no, he still got him. It's a little spike. Well, I got the summit right behind me here, not too much further, and I think I found the only spot where the snow's deep enough to actually dig in and have a look at the snowpack. So I'm gonna do that. What a beautiful spot. Check this out though. It's not bad, not too shabby. All right, I can get my shovel out and have a look at this slope. All right, so the only reason we have a little bit of snow here is because the wind has deposited here. I've checked the back side of this. This is not a cornice. It's well supported by rocks right here, so no danger of it cracking off. First thing I'm gonna do is measure the slope angle to get an idea of how likely it is to slide. So using my trekking pole, I don't have the right device to actually measure incline, but I'm gonna use my phone. All right, so it's still calibrated. Let's see what we got here. 23 degrees. So most avalanches happen between 30 degrees and 45. Between 25 and 30 it's possible, but unlikely. At 23 degrees it's pretty much can't slide. All right, let's dig into it and see if we can identify any layers. Now again, it's still pretty shallow, so not gonna be able to see very much. So again, pretty shallow snowpack. Not going to be too much to see, but I'm going to use the backside of my knife here and just test to see if there's any changes. So we got a really tough crust at the top here. That changes about right here. Icy changes right here. And then it's just facets underneath of that. So facets is a super crystally snow that's formed by temperature swings, freezing and thawing and freezing cycles, and it's super unstable because doesn't bind together. As you can see, I can put my whole fist in it, no problem. It's just completely loose. And so if you have a slab sitting on top of facets, that slab is going to be able to slide really easily. All right, I'm gonna try a hand shear test a sec. So for that, you take your pole, jab it in, saw off a block, about 30 by 30 centimeters, that is. Okay. And the idea is that you then take the snow from below it away and test if it'll shear. It already has sheared. So you can see that this crust, it's a really hard crust sitting on that facet, can absolutely slide if it's cracked. All right, cool. Let's finish this little hike, get up to the top of our hill. Wind is cold. It's tempting not to film, but this ridge I'm walking along is kind of good terrain to be mindful about because, for one, it's highly wind affected. The wind's been blowing it somewhat clear, and then we have these, it kind of drops away on this side here, so you have what's called a convex roll, and that's, if you did have a slab, that's always a weak point. In addition, you got a lot of sticks and trees sticking up, which can form weaknesses in the slab, especially rocks that warm up in the sun. Now again, there is no slab here. There's just, I'm pretty much walking right on the dirt. But yeah, with a little more snow, this edge could be quite dangerous. It's good stuff to learn. Here's a really great example of a cornice. The wind has come up the slope here, swept the snow off, and then as it's curled around, it's deposited it here. And it's left this unsupported bank of snow, which if you were coming up here and you want to look over the edge and you stood on, could lead to a fall of several hundred meters. So when you're hiking in the winter, even when there's not much snow, you gotta make sure you're on well supported ground. So, yeah, tip for you, that's a cornice. just a few yards below the summit here. You can see it behind me. And there's all sheep tracks. Just loaded with sheep tracks. So cool. It's like, man, what are you animals doing up here? Isn't there grass down lower? It's actually been neat. Like, we've seen white-tailed deer at the bottom, elk about halfway up, mule deer upper 3/4, and then right at the top we got a bunch of sheep tracks. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if they're not too far away, so we'll keep our eyes open. Love the wildlife here in this area. Well, it's not a particularly impressive summit. In fact, it's not even considered a mountain. It's got a hill on its name, but it does give good view of the mountains. This peak directly in behind me, climbed that, I think this last year. Not sure. Sylvia and I have made an attempt at this one, but we haven't quite made it to the top yet. We'll come back for it when the snow's gone. But yeah, this is great. It's actually not too windy up here at this particular moment anyways. Haven't seen those sheep yet, but I bet you they're around. Those tracks were fresh, they weren't filled in by drifting snow, so I bet you I spooked them off. I just never seen them. In terms of our route down, in terms of our route up, we came up this ridge here, and it kind of goes straight away from us. To go down, we're going to take this ridge over here just for a change in pace. So right here, that's that cornice I was just talking about. So it's not an overhanging cornice. Sometimes they'll look like a wave that's about to break coming out like that. But you can still see how if you stood on that, it could crack off and drop you down a long ways. I'm gonna see if I have enough service to video call Sylvia. Show them what I'm seeing. So if you're not familiar with this area of Alberta, the reason there's not much snow in the mountains here in March when you really would expect there to be is because we have something called a Chinook wind, and it's when warm air from the Pacific pops over the Rockies and then sinks down as it enters the prairies, and it'll melt out snow, and we can have temperature swings of 30 degrees in 24 hours, no problem. And so we get a lot of freeze-thaw cycles in the eastern slopes of the Rockies here. It's interesting, Sylvia's at home and she said it's overcast and snowing, and you can see out over the prairie how it's all clouded, and yet in the mountains here it's clear and it's actually pretty warm. I mean, it's not warm, but it's not that cold. So I think we got a bit of an inversion happening. Summit box. Ooh, it's wet and frozen, unfortunately. There's a bottle of Fireball in these. I think that's only on the Alpine summits. Time to head down. This way this time. Let's see some different country. those bighorn sheep, they were up near the top there. Then they just dove off, went straight down here, and then, see if, yeah, wrapped around just above that cliff bed. I can see the tracks. I didn't actually see the sheep, but what a bunch of honey badgers. They just don't care. I'd be nervous doing that. Boy, I love Steppe'n'Ridges. It's just so enjoyable. Should do this more often. Let's just start a YouTube channel. Maybe we'll call it Steppe'n'Ridges. It's not a bad idea. I'll have to give that some thought. Anyway, we're cruising. Easy going. Be back down in summer in no time. Through the magic of neglecting to film most of my descent, I'm just a few minutes away from my truck. And so I just want to say thank you for taking some time out of your busy lives to watch this video. And I'm hoping as I get better at press and record and, oh, it's cold, and subduing the feelings of foolishness when I talk to a camera, that I'll be able to put out some more consistent videos. But anyways, that's all for now. Take care.